Welcome to Tech Tuesday, presented by Delta Media Group, where we recently found out the scientific name of a genetic crossbreed between a parrot and a centipede. It's a walkie-talkie. So today, we're going to take a look at customer groups. We've made some changes to them. We've updated what their capabilities are. So we wanted to get into another video. We can really describe the kinds of things you can do with those. Now, first and foremost, customer groups are designed to give you an easy way to segment and organize your customer database so that when you reach out to them with either automated emails or you send out email blasts or e-cards, you can send them out to customers that have been segmented out or grouped based on things like their interests. So the kind of homes they're interested in, or their demographic, or their requirements, just a number of other things that allow you to be more effective with the information that you send out from the DeltaNet. So to get to the primary groups interface, we're going to go to the Customer Center page. So you can either type Customer Center up here in the Quick Actions bar at the top, or we can go over here to CRM and click on Customer Center. Because the side navigation and the tiles and things are customizable, you may not have this Customer Center link under CRM. So just keep that in mind. If it doesn't show up there, the easiest way to find it is just type Customer Center up here in Quick Actions and then click on it, and it will take you to this same page. Now, once you found your way here, you should be able to scroll down to a section labeled Customer Groups. If it is not there, you can click this Edit Layout button, and it's possible that that Customer Group section has been removed. So, if it has been, you should see a toggle on this page. It would look like this, turned off for customer groups. You would just switch that on and click Save. And then while we're looking at this particular layout interface, you can turn on and off any of the sections that appear on this page, and you can also change the order of those sections. So if there's some that you interact with more often than others, you could turn those on and drag them up to the top. If there's some that you never interact with at all, you could just turn off that toggle, and then that section disappears. So I'll go ahead and close this because my customer group section was already in place. And now we will scroll down here to customer groups. So first off, this section allows you to show different kinds of groups. So there are a few different types of groups, and in those types of groups, you can filter this section down so you see only the specific ones you're looking for. So we'll go ahead and run through each of the different group types. Up here we have this Show drop-down, which acts as your filter. And if we click on it, you can see that right now all groups is selected. So if I uncheck that, you can see that disappears. But it is still telling me there are 73 groups here. So there's 73 total entries. It's showing 0 because I don't have any selected to show. So the first we have here are standard groups. So standard groups are just what they sound like. This is a group that you can populate with customers through any standard means. So you would open that group up and you would select which customers should be in it, or unselect the customers that should not be in it. So just a simple standard group that you go in and you populate as you see fit. Agent groups are exactly the same thing. So agent groups are a type of standard group. So all agent groups are standard groups. However, all standard groups are not necessarily agent groups. So to explain what I mean, in addition to agent groups, so this would be a group that you've created on your personal side here. In addition to that, there are groups that can be created at the company level that you can interact with here. So the company could create an active customers group, for example, that shows up for everyone in the database, so all the agents at the company. And you can add and remove customers from that group. When you open that group, you only see the customers in it that are assigned to you. However, you can't do things like delete that group because it is a company group created at the company level. So that is the difference between the standard groups and the agent groups, rather. So standard groups is all of your groups and the company groups, whereas agent groups is just your own groups. And we can kind of see that reflected here. So we'll close this out, scroll down to the bottom of this section, and we'll make it just 10 results so we can see a little easier. Get back to our group section here. We got kind of scrambled around the page. There we go. So now you can see we have 1 through 10 of 36 entries. So we're looking at standard groups and agent groups. So we have 36 entries filtered from all of the groups. So if I take out standard groups, you can see it dropped to 24, because what it effectively did is it removed the company groups. So now I'm looking at just my own groups. So that's how that works. And we'll get into the details on what we can do with each group here in a minute. Now as we get on the list, we'll close those two out. Now the next thing we have are virtual groups. So these are groups that are basically built automatically and populated with customers that match some kind of criteria. So in this case, if we take a look at this page, and what the system will do is it will automatically create groups for customers that are marked as an active status, for example. We also automatically create the all marketing customers group. So this is basically every customer in your database that you are able to send marketing materials to. So that's how that is set up. Customers marked as active, so that's every customer in your database or every customer assigned to you that has a status of active. We build a group automatically for that so that it's very easy for you. If you just want to send an email out to all of your active status customers, you don't have to go in and build a group yourself. It's all ready to go here, so you can just set that up and you can send to this group with like the email blast system or an email campaign system, or even send an e-card out to everyone in this group. So it's just a way that the system kind of helps you organize your customers. Now the next piece we have here are pipeline phases. So this is every group that corresponds to a pipeline phase. So the idea is that if you add a transaction to the system and you set that transaction to the qualified status and you attach that transaction to a customer account, it will put that customer account in the corresponding qualified group. And this just gives you a very easy way to reach out to all customers that match or have transactions that match one of these pipeline statuses. So we build these groups automatically for you so that everybody you have that has a closed transaction, if you want to send an email to all of them, you can just go straight to the email blast system and you can send an email to the closed group, and it will have those customers populated in it automatically. And then the next option here isn't actually a specific group type, but rather just an option to remove all of the empty groups. So it's a nice way to kind of clear up this list if you have a lot of empty groups in there that aren't being used, but you don't want to get rid of the groups themselves. You can hide those empty groups. Same goes for any of the company groups that are in there. If there are company groups that you had decided not to use, so they remain empty in here, you can leave this unchecked and then those groups won't show up. And then by checking it, it shows all groups, so it will show all those empty groups as well. Now the next point here, or the next useful point here, is that whatever you choose here as your default, so let's say I go here and I want to only see my own groups. Let's say I don't want to interact with any of the rest of these. I'll filter it down to just agent groups, so you can see our 24 agent groups are in here. Now I could click Save, and then every time I come to this Customer Center page from here on out, it will already be filtered to just my groups, so that I don't have to filter it down every time. So just a nice convenience piece there. Now the next thing you can do, just as far as the interface and the display here, you can see that I have multiple pages worth of groups. I have 24 entries, and there are only 10 showing up on this page. But I can also use this drop down here to show more entries per page. So that is an easy way that I can go in here, and if I have a lot of groups in here and I want to see more than 10 of those groups on a single page without having to jump between pages, I can use this drop down and see up to 100 on a single page. So we'll switch that back to 10 for the time being and scroll back up here. There we go. Alright, so these are my groups, and you can see that I can filter these as well. So if I click on group name, you can see I can sort it by group name. I can also sort these by whether or not they're in the pipeline phase. So if I did have the pipeline groups selected, I could filter it by that, so I could see the pipeline phase groups first or last within or among the rest of the groups. I can also go by customer account if I want to sort these out by that as well. So if I just want to see my groups that have the most customers in them up top, it's real easy for me to do that. So there we go. So we'll sort these back out by group name. Now, the reason I've selected agent groups is that we can run through these agent groups, and everything that you are able to do to a group, you are able to do to an agent group, because the agent group is your group. This is one that you've made and you have control over. So, for example, we'll take this bulk market watch test group. I'll go over here and click on actions, and you can see first I can view this group. View just shows me all the customers that are within this group, and then I can filter down the list to just the customers I'm looking for by typing in a name or an email address here. So if I'm looking for someone specific, let's say I've got 20 pages of people here, and I want to see if a particular person's in the group, I can just type their name here and they'll pop up. And then there's an easy way. I can click on View to go through to their profile page from here if I want to look at their profile page. The next thing I can do is I can export this group. So if I click on Export, you can see it pops a new window open and starts the download, or initiates the download. So we'll cancel that. But that would download a CSV of everyone in that group. If I click on Labels, I can print out mailing labels for this group. Now I can tell you this group in particular doesn't have anyone with an address set up in it, so it can't print labels for them because there are no labels to print. However, if there were, I could click on this and select which type of label I want to print. And then after I've selected that, I can click Print Labels. That'll take me to a new page that will lay all of those out properly. And again, no active customers with a valid address here. But if it had, it would lay them all out with the correct format to fit on that label type, or to be printed out on that label type. Now, if I didn't want to print that out now, I can use this Generate Labels as a CSV, and I can just download an exported CSV of these labels so that I'm not printing them just straight from my browser like this if I want to move those to another machine or use them somewhere else. The next thing we can do is we can use or current resident. We can add that on the text for any of these labels. So by default, these will show the name on the customer account and the address that that should be printed out for the actual mailing label. If I want to include their name or current resident before the address, I would just select this box and it would include that. That way, if I send mail to that address and it's not the right person, I have that or current resident on there. So still my marketing email is going to somebody at that address, or not email rather, my physical mailer is going to somebody at that address. So we'll close that puppy out there. The next thing we can do is, because this is my group, I can edit this group. So we'll click on Edit. From here I can change the group name. I can give it a color. You can see it's white right now. Let's change it to a nice, I don't know, let's do blue. I'm feeling like blue today. There we go. So we can set a color. This will be grayed out because it is controlled at the company level, whether or not it is a pipeline group, so you won't be able to put it in the pipeline or not. You can choose to exclude the members of this group from the All Marketing Customers group. Now the nice thing about this is, let's say I want to send out an email blast to everybody in my database. So I'll send it out to the All Marketing Customers group because I know that's the people that I should be emailing to. Let's say that I do have a group in here also that is just real estate agents. So the email I'm sending out, like maybe I would get a new listing and I would send that e-card to the real estate agents group I have in here. But this particular email, I don't want to go to them. I could have a group in here that is called Real Estate Agents, and I could have this box checked for that group so that when I do send to the All Marketing Customers group the regular marketing emails, they won't also go to the people that are in this group. So that can be a very handy feature to make sure your emails are going to those that you actually want to send them to. Now the next thing we can do is we can create a virtual group. So you saw that we had virtual groups that we've created automatically based on customer statuses. So you have a group that's automatically populated with everyone that has a status of active, for example. What this allows you to do is have the system create a virtual group based on your rules. So if I want to say everyone who has made a showing request and came from, I don't know how we'll go down here, and we'll say Zillow Tech Connect. So let's say I have Zillow set up, and I have Zillow Tech Connect turned on so that Zillow leads come into my CRM here automatically. I could have every one of those that makes a showing request automatically populate this group. So you could make this the Zillow showing group, and then you could put it in a campaign, for example, and then that campaign could be geared specifically to those that have made a showing request through Zillow. So it's a nice way that you can further populate a group automatically and then send really targeted marketing to that group based on how they came in to your CRM. So the next piece we have here is we have a single add customers function. And the reason I say it's a single add customers function is because it works the one time, basically. So let's say that I wanted to populate this group with everyone that is in the Amazing group right now. And let's say the Avengers group too. So we have two groups here. I want to take the people that are currently in both of these groups and I want to add them to this group. Now keep in mind, it won't take them out of these groups. It will add them also to this group. You can have a customer in as many groups as you'd like. So if I check these two boxes, when I click Save, it will take everyone that is in either one of these groups and also add them to this group. But it doesn't maintain a sync, so that's what I mean by one time. It'll one time, the people that are currently there, put them in here. But now, after I do that, let's say I add 50 more people to the Avengers group, they won't also be added to this group. They'll only be added to the Avengers group. If I wanted to add them to this group, I would have to go back in here a second time and come in here and check this Avengers box and click Save again, and then it would add them in as well. So that's what I mean by that. It's a way that you can very easily kind of initially populate a group with people that are in another group at that moment. And then the next piece we have here is the ability to add and remove individuals from the group. And just like when we're viewing the group, if I'm looking for someone in particular, I can just type in their name, and you can see it filters down here. And then I can put a check mark next to them, and that effectively adds them to the group. If I click Save at this point, that person will now be in this group. Likewise, if I have somebody who is already in the group that I want to remove, I can uncheck the box for them, and when I save it, they will no longer be in the group. So that is how that is set up. Also, just like the groups interface, I can show more than 10 entries per page here. So it's broken out into different pages, but I can show all the way up to 100 entries per page, and that can sometimes make it easier for me to select multiple people and find those I want to actually add to the group. So when I have this set up the way I'd like, I just click Save, and that updates my group. Now I'll close it in this case. I know we changed the color, but it's not going to change because I didn't save it. But that's how it goes sometimes. Now the next thing we have here is we can delete this. So if I click Delete, that'll delete this group altogether. It'll actually bring up a confirmation, and then if I say yes, it will delete the group. And then lastly, I can add a task. So if I click this Add Task button, it'll bring up this task interface, and I can use this to automatically set up a task for this group, or for all the people that are in this group. Now the next thing I can do is, or rather the next thing to go over, is just adding new groups in particular. So if I click on Add New Group, I would fill in all this information. You can see this is exactly like the edit page. The only difference is I can't add people to it at this point. So I would create the group, and then I would go to Edit, and then I would be able to add individuals to it if that is how I want to use the group. But the rest of the options here work exactly the same. I would just put in my name, assign a color if I want to. I can choose whether or not it is a all marketing customers or whether or not the people in this group should be excluded from the all marketing customers group. I can make it a virtual group if I'd like, to be populated based on request source and or the initial source of the customer, or request type rather, and the initial source of the customer. Or upon creation of the group, I could automatically pull everyone out of a group of my choosing and have them, I shouldn't say pull out of because they stay in that group, but I could take everyone that's in this group and also add them to this new group to kind of give it an initial set of users. So we'll go ahead and close that out. So there we go. That is agent groups, and that's basically everything you can do with groups. So everything you can do with a group, you can do with an agent group. So just to run through these, we'll go ahead and go into standard groups, and you can see we have an active group here. This is actually a company group, so when I click on Actions, you can see the only options I have are to view, edit, which will let me add people to it, print mailing labels, or export it, but I can't delete it, I can't rename it, anything like that. Like if I click on Edit, this is the company group. So I can't edit it, but it is still, or if I edit the name rather, it is still tethered to the company group. So anything that happens to that company group that the admin does on the admin side will filter down into this group. It'll affect this group basically. So we'll close that out. And if we close those two, the next we have are the virtual groups here. So if I limit it to the virtual groups, you can see I can just view, export, or print mailing labels for these. So I have no edit option for the virtual groups at all. In fact, the showing request group is my virtual group. So the reason that this is different is the all marketing customers group is a system created virtual group. So that's why I can't make any changes there. But this showing request group is a virtual group that I created. So I have all the same options here, just like I would with an agent group. And if I click on Edit, you can see that it is populated as showing. So that's the way this is set up to work. And then pipeline phases, if we load those up, again, these are company controlled. So I can bring these up, I can edit them, but these I can't change the name of. These are set up as a pipeline phase group, and you can see the box is checked here for in the pipeline. So that is how these are set up here. And then lastly, as I mentioned, show empty customers, or show empty groups rather, is only designed to filter out any of these zeros here. So if I uncheck that, you can see it takes out all the groups that had zeros next to them because they didn't have any customers in them. So it's just a way to kind of pare down this interface to make it a little bit easier to work with. So there you have it. That is how you can go in and what you can do with groups, just kind of the basics of that, and then how you can manage those groups to keep your customers organized and make sure that your marketing materials are going to the people that they will speak to the best. So as always, thanks a lot for joining me. If you enjoyed this video, or if you want to see more Tech Tuesdays, or if you learned anything from this video, feel free to like and subscribe, and you'll get a notification. If you click the little notification bell, you'll get a notification whenever we post a new Tech Tuesday or post anything else to our channel. So, thanks a lot for joining me. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to reach out to our support team by emailing support@deltagroup.com or giving them a call, and they can help you out with this or whatever else you need. I'll see you again next week. Thanks a lot.